Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be reading the last section of this book. I'm really excited to be finishing this book up, and then we're gonna get started with the next book, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, okay, so before we get started, I'm just gonna go ahead and show you what I'm drinking today, because every video I always had a drink with me. I'm trying to do like a tea every video, but I'm not really in the mood for tea right now, so yeah. And I might film the first part to the next book today, but if I do it, it's gonna be like in the evening and stuff, and so if I do have tea, that's when I'll have it, but maybe I'll film it tomorrow. I don't know yet fully the schedule what I'm gonna do, but yeah. So I have a Capri Sun, and yeah, it's fruit punch, so that's yummy. I'm gonna open this up and then we'll get started. Also, I didn't really do my intro like I normally do, so hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed here. My name is Kezzy, whatever you want to call me. Yeah, and yeah, this is my channel. Anyways, really good. It's really good. I have my water again. I'm filming with my phone on my water bottle, like on top. So yeah, but I have my water with me, so that's a reminder for you to get your water. Get any beverage. But if you get anything besides water, make sure you get water also. So yeah. Okay, let's just get into this. Finish this up. Yay! So we have read officially Haunted Houses, which was part 1. Then we read part 2, which was Legends and Folklore. Then we read part 3, which was the Civil War. And then we read part 4. Part 3, yeah. And then we read part 4, which was The Strange Creatures. And now we're on part 5, which is South Mountain. So yeah, and that's it. This book is Ghosts and Legends of Frederick County by Timothy L. Cannon and Nancy F. Whitmore, and I found this at Barnes & Nobles, and so if you're from this area, this will be fun to read about, so yeah. Okay, let's just go ahead and get into it. As you can tell, I've been kind of filming in different locations, because I don't know, I feel like it's fun to switch it up and not just do it in every single place, but it's fun for me, so yeah. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so this is South Mountain section. Okay. South Mountain Legends. Winding our way from Frederick through the Middletown Valley across beautiful rolling hills, we come to one of the ranges of the Blue Ridge chain that extends from Virginia to Pennsylvania. South Mountain. The scene of the bloody Civil War battle that raged all day on September 14th, 1862. It has long been an historic place, but more than just historic in interest. South Mountain has been long associated with strange stories, spooks, and legends, most dating back to the last century. There are several accounts of a banshee called the White Woman who roamed South Mountain some years ago. Apparently her appearance was very much dreaded, as it was considered a harbinger of death or some other disaster. Annie was a simple young mountain girl who lived in a hut with her grandmother and her uncle Ike. One summer day, she was looking out on the road when she saw the White Woman. The shrouded figure arose from the surface of the road and then seemed to pass through the house. 2 days later, Ike died, and not long after, the hut burned to the ground. Another time, the banshee was sighted by a woman who was caring for her 9-year-old grandchild. The ghostly figure of the child's recently dead mother was seen bending over the cradle. Shortly thereafter, the baby died. The White Woman was seen roaming South Mountain on several other occasions, though nothing harmful seemed to come of it. So yeah. So there's that one. Okay, I don't know why I just paused. Sorry. I just wanted to say basically is that it's really windy out. So I'm so sorry if you can hear it and stuff. I'm really sorry. Also, in every video, but especially the ones I filmed during the day, which were the part 2 and part 3, in this video, obviously. I have siblings and they're loud, so I'm sorry about that. So, yeah. So I'm sorry about that in the other parts that I filmed during the day and this time too. Also, like, the night ones, well, especially the first one, I was, like, filming it really late, and so I was really quiet, and I just wanted to, again, apologize, because it was, like, I was, like, kind of whispering maybe a little bit at times, and I was trying not to, but I wasn't trying to be loud, because I didn't want to wake people up. The part 4 one was, like, the perfect time, because it wasn't, like, too late. Like, people were in bed, but not everyone was. Like, my dad was still up, and, yeah, my grandma was still up, and stuff, so it was, like, not that bad. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep reading now. Don't know why I did that, but okay. On the one evening in 1817, a company of army regulars on their way to fight the I am so sorry, I'm gonna butcher this name. Seminole Indians stopped at South Mountain House for a night's lodging. Most of the men joined the local residents already in the bar for some pleasant conversation. One soldier, a handsome young man from Michigan, remained in the kitchen near the fire, unable to take his eyes off the tavern keeper's young daughter, Sadie, as she prepared dinner. He would regret having to leave her in the morning, for Cupid's arrow had pierced his heart. As Sadie turned to face him, he said, "Sadie, I wish that I could die for you." "Die for me?" she said angrily. "Ain't I worth living for?" At that, the young man made his decision. He would desert and hide in the forest near the overhanging cliffs. Sadie agreed to bring him food and cry like a wild cat when danger was near. When it was safe for him to return, they would marry and build a cabin on the mountain. His company searched for him for days, never even considering that he had deserted. Convinced that he was dead, the company departed, and the young soldier returned for Sadie. They married, lived, and died on South Mountain. Their story is still told, and some say the lovers are seen. Their footsteps are heard, and the cry of a wild cat often breaks the silence of the night on South Mountain. Oh, that was sweet. That was a sweet one. Yeah, especially after all the ones where, like, people were dying, I was like, but this one's nice. This one's a nice one. A young Frederick woman told of a terrifying childhood experience when she lived on South Mountain. Residents of that area were often frightened at night by strange screaming noises. In the morning, cats, chickens, and cattle were often found dead and many times eaten. All attempts to hunt the unseen carnivore proved in vain. The young woman's father searched for it with a rifle until frightened away by its shrill cries. Dogs refused to hunt the strange animal and would hide under the porch if they sensed its presence. Later one afternoon, as she was climbing a tree, she spotted a strange creature climbing down the hill to her left. It resembled a dog with a face like a cat and had a Bristol-like hairy coat. She watched breathlessly as it moved in her direction, making a low murmuring sound. She leapt from the tree and ran toward her yard. Her screams must have frightened it, for when she turned, the strange beast had vanished. All that could be found were a few large tracks leading nowhere, in the underbrush. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm going to do that sentence again. I think I messed it up. Okay. All that could be found were a few large tracks leading nowhere in the underbrush. She swears her story is true, though she was the only one to ever see it. Reports of this kind have not been unusual on South Mountain. where the young woman's story took place. Tales of a strange dog-like creature date back almost a century, when it was then called the Black Dog or Snarling Yow. We have already mentioned this vicious-looking dog who would often confront and frighten passing travelers on the National Pike. It was usually described as having large paws, wolfish teeth, and an ugly red mouth. Late one evening many years ago, William, a hard-working and sober married man of about 30, was returning home from an errand in Boonesboro. He was approaching the Glendale area of South Mountain when he encountered a strange black dog blocking his path. Fearlessly, he lashed out at the beast, his fist striking only the air. The dog was bigger than any he had ever seen, but as he fought it, the beast grew to monstrous proportions, taking up the whole width of the road. Then, without a sound, the huge creature bared its teeth, exposing an ugly red mouth, and passed into the darkness, leaving William frightened and confused, but otherwise unharmed, to continue his journey home. Another time, a man of considerable strength, whose thirst for whiskey equaled his size, was confronted by a huge black dog. The horse he was riding stopped dead in its tracks and couldn't be budged by verbal or physical abuse. Finally, the panicked horse reared up and threw his master to the ground, breaking his collarbone. The dog vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Well, if the guy was being so mean to that horse, I don't want to say it, but some of these stories, I feel like this happened while I've been reading this book. I've noticed that sometimes they're just these horrible people, and then get kind of what they deserve, and I'm I can't really be so sorry about it. But then there's also people who don't deserve what happens to them. I'm at least the bad guys get it, but why do we have to have so many wicked people? I don't get it. But anyways, next one. A man known to be a crack shot with a rifle came upon the dog crossing the road. The marksman took steady aim and fired several shots. However, the bullets passed right through the undaunted beast, leading the rifleman to flee in terror. Another resident named Big Joe encountered the black dog while riding his horse one evening. Joe pursued the animal for some distance but failed to overtake it. He insisted that as the dog ran, it kicked up dirt and gravel like any other large running animal, and then mysteriously disappeared. In 1975, the strange dog was seen again in the same area as the former accounts. A group of sightseers returning to Middletown from Washington Monument State Park suddenly came upon the beast in their automobile. They heard the unmistakable thud and felt the impact of the animal being crushed under their wheels. The car was stopped, and they were amazed to see the dog standing upright on its huge paws. The beast bared its teeth, showing an angry red mouth, then vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. Okay, so that's that. The South Mountain Legends. So now, the next one. I believe there's always 3 stories. Maybe not. But the couple more recent ones happened at least 3. So there's this one and then one more. So, the Sabbath. Christian European tradition is rich in the lore of the Sabbath, or witches' Sabbath, a nightly gathering of witches, wizards, and demons. Apparently, the practice dates back to the Inquisition, although certain classical Roman authors wrote of such events. These horrid creatures would arrive by anointing themselves with a special ointment that allowed them to fly, or by riding an animal provided by the devil. Okay, sorry. Once they were engaged in sacrilegious riots. I'm sorry, I'm just having a laugh. Once they were engaged in sacrilegious rites, much feasting and revelry and worship of the devil. Stories of the Sabbath probably followed the immigrants to the New World, where they were changed and embellished to fit the particular people and locale. One story was told on South Mountain in the last century. Many years ago, a wealthy farmer, having lived for some years in an old two-story log cabin, decided to build a new home for his large family. The new house was solidly constructed of brick and was situated atop a hill in a way that was protected from cold and wind at the edge of a grove of trees. This spot was said to be haunted, a trysting place for demons, had left the family undaunted. But from the very first night, they knew no peace. The house rang with demonic laughter, cries, and groans. The moanings would find the family petrified. After a few weeks of this, they returned to their old log cabin, leaving a great deal of their furniture behind. For months afterwards, lights were seen in the home, and the nighttime peace was often broken by unearthly sounds emanating from it. They felt they would never occupy their new home again. Late one night, during a particular bad storm, a wary stranger knocked at the door and asked for lodging. Unfortunately, there was no room in the farmer's old log cabin. Seeing the lights in the house on the hill, the traveler said he would try there. Upon hearing this, the frightened farmer offered the man the comfort of his barn, warning him that the house he saw was haunted. The traveler said he would go on and that God would protect him from evil spirits. When he reached the house, the door flew open. Unafraid, he entered, climbed the stairs, and found a comfortable room on the second floor. After praying, he locked the door and lay down. The luxury of sleep was not to be his. As soon as his head hit the pillow, the entire house was filled with a noise as large as a large number of festive people suddenly arrived. The door flew open and... I skipped a section. After a while, he heard footsteps on the stairs, slowly but deliberately. They advanced until reaching the entrance to his room. The door flew open, and a distinguished-looking man stood before him, dressed in evening attire. He knew at once that he stood face to face with the devil himself. Cast aside were the horns and cloven feet of the Dark Ages, replaced by a dress suit, white tie, and boutonniere. He graciously extended an invitation to a champagne supper, and the weary traveler promptly accepted. The two men descended the stairs and entered a room hung with crystal chandeliers entwined with huge serpents. A Lucian display of delicacies covered a mass table. The fine crystal goblets, cast in shapes to arouse passions, were filled with excellent wines and spirits, and the transparent china skillfully displayed all manner of debauchery. All of the women present were beautifully attired in the latest fashion, bedecked with jewels, painted faces, beautifully coiffed hair, and an all-pervading sense of evil. So too the men, elegantly dressed, worshippers of evil. After the guests were presented, the entire company set their appointed places to dine. I'm sorry, my bangs are like a little chaotic. They're always chaotic. Well, how about you cut bangs yourself? Anyways, okay. Where was I at? I'll just start here again. Sorry. After the guests were presented, the entire company sat in their appointed places to dine. As the guest took his place, he said that he would accept the host's hospitality on one condition, that he be allowed to offer thanks to God for such a fine meal. At this, the lights flickered, flames shot from the wine, the meat rotted, the people became old and decayed, and the air was filled with the odor of the grave. The terrified traveler quickly make the sign of the cross, and in God's name commanded the demons to leave. At that moment, there was an explosion followed by groans, screams, and curses, then total darkness. The once lovely room was now filled with the sickening smell of sulfur, and the entire house shook as the burden of sin was lifted and the demons returned to the depths of hell. After offering thanks to God, the traveler returned to the farmer's cabin. The farmer fell to his knees when the stranger returned, for he had heard the explosion and feared the man was dead. At dawn, the house remained standing and unharmed, and the traveler continued on his journey. The farmer and his family returned to their home and lived undisturbed, never forgetting to offer thanks to God. Okay, and now we're at the last part of it. That was an interesting story. Very interesting. That would make like an interesting, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I was kind of watching like an episode of Supernatural for a minute, like, I was like, oh. Wings at midnight. Late, so this is the last one, by the way. Don't know if I said that already. Wings at midnight. Okay. Late in the 1800s, South Mountain House, now a restaurant called the South Mountain Inn, located about 12 miles northwest Frederick, was poised atop South Mountain, much like an old manor set. Then being the only building of any size for miles. Founded in 1732, sorry, I'm just gonna kind of dry. As for an inn for weary travelers, this old structure has had an interesting history. It is said that General Edward Braddock, accompanied by a young lieutenant named George Washington, marched his army past this old inn on his way to his death near Fort Duquesne in the French and Indian War. Later in the 1820s, it served as a wagon stand and stagecoach stop on the National Road, now alternate Route 40. During the Civil War, the old inn was briefly held as an overnight outpost and staging point for some of John Brown's followers. Later, it was the headquarters of Confederate General D.H. Hill during the Battle of South Mountain. South Mountain House, as we shall call it, is not only known for its history, but for strange stories and legends associated with it. One night, many years ago, after an evening of pleasant conversation, one lady guest at South Mountain House was preparing for bed. It had been a long, wearying day, and the summer night seemed more oppressive than usual. She sat by the window, hoping to catch a last breath of fresh, cool air before retiring. During the day, she had a magnificent view westward over the fields which had once witnessed the dreadful scenes of war. Now the fields were dark and quiet. Suddenly she startled She was startled by a bright light cast upon the house. Looking up, there was not a star visible, the sky inky black. She glanced toward the field. Not over 50 yards away stood an apparition, an 8-foot tall, shrouded figure of human form. There was an eerie atmosphere of bright white light that surrounded it. Not another look was taken. The window closed quickly. She noticed the time and perceived a sudden chill. It was the exact moment of midnight. After some initial storytelling, the incident was scarcely spoken of again. The summer passed, and another had succeeded it. And when one night the hostess heard a light tapping at her door, she opened it to find one of her guests standing nervously in the doorway. I'm sorry to disturb you, madam," the woman said. "I have just seen a ghost." She was offered a chair, and pleasantly she told her story. She had not been there the summer before. Nevertheless, she told practically the same eerie tale. She was standing by the window when she saw a strange phantom about 30 yards from the house. She hurriedly looked away, but couldn't help noticing the strange white light that seemed to emanate from it in all directions. They agreed not to mention the incident to anyone, as the old English clock struck midnight. Some weeks later, the lady's stay at South Mountain House was about to end. She was to leave early the next morning, and the hostess decided to see if anything could be done to make the following day's mountain drive more comfortable. The hour was late, and the two ladies were reminded of the mysterious apparition that appeared twice in the succeeding summers. They stood at the same open casement and that looked out over the dark, mystic grove where the phantom had been seen before. Suddenly, involuntarily, one of them leaned out the window and shouted into the darkness, "Who are you? Are you a lost soul?" Scarcely an instant later, two phosphorescent wings flashed and fluttered wildly in the grove a few yards away. Then suddenly the two wings that had brightened the night only a moment before vanished into the darkness. The ladies hurriedly closed the shutters and spoke of God at that very moment, and the chimes of midnight. The ladies hurriedly closed the shutters and spoke of God. At that very moment, the chimes of midnight were again heard from below. That was very interesting. There's a picture also at the end that I just read. Yeah. And that's it. So yeah. This is other thing if like you want to. There's like this thing by the authors. There's another book which my dad owns. But yeah, that's it. This book is falling apart and I just bought it from Barnes & Nobles. So, like, look, I don't even know how it is. Like, I've been, like, it's not been, like, it looks like it's been, like, through the ringer. But, like, seriously, I haven't done, like, anything with it besides read. Like, I don't get it. Like, I feel like it's my fault, but I didn't do anything. It's, like, literally falling apart, though. Ugh. Like, maybe I feel like I should have done my little trick, because I learned a good trick to not bend, like, not to get marks, not to bend, like, the spine, you know? But I feel like it's not that, because before I learned about the trick, I didn't do it, and it wouldn't do this. The book's almost like been, like, really destroyed or something, so I don't get it. Anyways, so that's the end of this book, Ghosts and Legends of Frederick County. So yeah, this was really fun to read, and yeah, I'm happy it's done, because now I can check it off my computer and I can finally be like, I have done finished reading it, because I read this myself a little bit and I just wasn't getting anywhere with it, and I was like, I really want to read this out loud. I think it'd be fun, you know, so I've been wanting to do videos like these, so I think it'd be fun, and it was. So yeah, I can check this off my Goodreads account. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I don't know, I'll probably put my Goodreads account down below so you can follow it, friend me. So yeah, well, I don't know, maybe you might only be able to follow me because my friend stuff is kind of like full or something, or it's almost full. So yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna go now, but I hope you enjoyed my videos. I'm just finishing this off because, oh, I'm super parched. There. I'm gonna make sure to drink my water because you need to drink water. So yeah, anyways, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I had just like finished doing some schoolwork and stuff and studying, and I was like, I need to do this now. So yeah. Anyways, I will see you guys in my next video, which again is hopefully going to be about this book. So yeah, I'm really excited though, because this is longer, so it will take a little bit longer, yeah, sure, it's only 2 days to do because it's really short, and I was like, I can fly through this, but this one is gonna take a little bit longer, not that long, because again, it's pretty short. It's 124 pages, so yeah. And just so you remember, it's by Susan Fair, and it's Mysteries and Lore of Western Washington, Snally, Gasters, Dogman, and Other Mountain Tales. So yeah, I'm excited to do this one, because yeah, I'm already on like 44, but I'm fine with rereading it. So yeah, anyways, awesome. And remember, I kind of went through this book and read some stories here and there, so I've read some of this, and it's good, so I think it'll be fun to read too, you guys. This actually is a book I gave my dad, but he hasn't read it yet, and I was like, I'm just going to borrow this and read it. So yeah, I'm gonna do that now, because I've been reading this for a long time, like almost like a year, and it's been taking me forever to get through it, and because it's not like a sit down story where like you can read it in a day, because it's like one big story. No, it's like little stories, so it's like, it's one of those like coffee table kind of reads. I feel we can just pick it up and read it, but like I'm also kind of like, I have so many books on my Goodreads books that I say I'm currently reading, like it's a lot, and I'm like, I need to just make my way through these books that are shorter, so that way it doesn't look like I'm reading too many books, because I kind of am. So anyways, I'm just going to go now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can like it, you can subscribe, you can do whatever you want, and yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video, which hopefully I'm hoping it'll be up by tomorrow, but we'll see. Okay. Also, I know I'm not really editing my videos right now, but I hope that's okay. Anyways, bye. Love you.